Rhea presses newborn to chest in dim cave on Mount Ida, straw and goatskin around, moonlight slanting in. She smells warm milk as she swaddles him and whispers, fear and determination written on her furrowed brow while hands tremble quietly. Kurits clang bronze spears and shields in torchlight, stamping to hide the baby's cry, sparks flying from metal each time, sweat darkening tunics, helmets tilted down, faces set in concentration, their loud rhythm masking small breaths and quick movements now. A goat named Amalthea lowers its head under a carved stone lamp, soft beige fur catching amber light, lips parting as milk flows, her black eyes patient. A shepherd boy watches with tender pride and hands stroking the goat's neck. Rhea kneels before Cronus in a torchlit hall, hands trembling as she presses a wrapped heavy stone into his mouth. He chews once, brow furrowed, throat moving, satisfied grunt echoing while attendants stand stiff and uneasy in shadowed coats silently. Years pass as young Zeus stands taller inside the damp cave, knees dusty, hands reaching for hanging honeycomb. Flickering oil lamps pool yellow on stone. He laughs with bright eyes while a shepherd ties his cloak, teaching him stars softly. At dawn Zeus walks between goats, hands smelling of milk. He lifts a small lamb and presses it to his chest, jaw set, eyes narrowing as the shepherds murmur plans to trick Cronus, wind pushing dry grass across his boots. Zeus stands behind a low wooden table in a crowded hall, holding a steaming cup Medes handed him. Cronus gulps without looking, then coughs violently. His chest heaves and Hera, Poseidon, Hestia spill onto the floor, gasping into torchlight noisily. Hera sits up, hair loose, wiping sweat with a linen sleeve. She clasps Zeus's hand and presses his cold fingers to her forehead. Brothers rise rumbling, eyes hard, they exchange nods, mapping routes to challenge Cronus and the Titans tomorrow. In a cavern lit by molten metal, Cyclops hammer red-hot iron, sparks spraying like suns. Zeus stands with arms folded, face lit orange, eyes sharpening. A long bolt takes shape, polished and jagged, crackling as steam rises from the anvil slowly. On a wide plain under a bruised purple sky, Zeus steps forward, cloak whipping, raises the bolt and throws hard. Light rips the air in a white streak, striking a Titan's shoulder, throwing dust and shields into sunlight with force. A Titan swings a massive oak club and the ground cracks. Zeus ducks behind a jagged boulder, his cloak streaked with dust, a flash behind his ear. Poseidon arrives from shore, trident raised, his wet cloak dripping seawater onto earth. After hours of fighting, Zeus stands on a hill of broken spears as chains are forged. Smiths drag hulking titans toward a deep pit, iron links clatter. Hecaton chairs push massive stone doors closed while torchlight spills red over sweating faces. Zeus climbs white marble steps into Olympus's hall, sunlight through high windows and columns. He settles on an ebony throne, fingers drumming, scanning gods who stand in bright robes, their folded arms and set jaws showing clear expectation today quietly. Zeus unrolls a painted map on a low table, his finger tracing coasts. He offers it to Poseidon and Hades. Poseidon slams a fist, splashes a goblet, water darkening the wood, while Hades studies mines and caves with narrowed eyes. Beneath a blue canopy on Olympus's terrace, priests arrange garlands. Hera steps forward in a white dress, jewels glinting. She lifts her chin and offers her hand. Zeus places a gold wreath on her head, both smile before eyes flicker. As dusk falls, lanterns line marble paths. Athena hangs a shield on a pillar, Apollo tunes a lyre, gods enter quiet chambers. Zeus stands on the terrace watching the valley glow, expression easing while laughter drifts on warm evening air. In a cave near a river, Prometheus shapes clay torso with rough palms, pressing dirt into fingers and setting pebbles for eyes. The unfinished figure sits on a rock while he holds a torch above it, watching wet clay glisten. At night Prometheus slips into Zeus's kitchen, shadows along stone. He lifts a burning brand from the hearth with quick fingers and tucks the ember into a hollow fennel stalk. His face is tense as he hurries across dark fields. Zeus returns at dawn and finds smoking fennel in the corner, ash on his hands. He slams a bronze bowl on the table, eyes flashing, jaw tight, and snaps an order to Hermes to bring the thief before him now. On a barren cliff Zeus watches while soldiers bind Prometheus to a jagged column, iron cuffs biting his wrists. A hunting eagle lands and pecks his side, blood staining the rock, Prometheus's face set in pain as he spits curses. Zeus climbs a jagged peak at noon, wind pressing his cloak. He spreads arms and dark clouds roll inward, gray bands across the sky. Flashes cast hard shadows on his face, and he draws the bolt from his belt slowly. In a baked village, a mayor kneels at a sun-bleached altar, hat in hand, pleading. Thunder rumbles and Zeus descends from a cloud, landing with a clap, spreading his hands as rain begins to patter and soak parched fields deeply. At dawn, two gods stand opposite Zeus, faces flushed and voices low but hard. Zeus lifts bronze scales from a side table, sets a carved tablet on one pan and a soldier's spear on the other, watching the pans tilt. A merchant stands in a crowded market, hand on a wooden chest. He swears an oath loudly to the crowd. Nearby, a gust lifts an awning and Zeus's bolt slams into the chest, splitting wood while people scatter in panic. Hera stands in a shadowed corridor, hands clenched, lips pressed thin as she watches Zeus pace in the moonlit garden below. He raises a palm when he sees her, gives a half smile, then slips away between cypress trees into night. On a bright shore, Europa walks near the surf, sandals sinking into wet sand. Zeus lowers himself into a massive white bull, muscles rippling beneath a hide. He nuzzles her hand, then charges into shallow water with a sudden movement. When Zeus returns to Olympus with a rumpled cloak and wet hem, Hera meets him at the top stair, eyes narrowed and jaw tight. She traces a finger along the damp fabric, then slaps it away, her face burning reproach. Zeus sighs, touches Hera's shoulder briefly without meeting her gaze, then turns toward the western terrace where sea blue light waits. He moves with the slow, steady step of habit, leaving Hera standing rigid, hands clenched and fingers white against cloak. On a green hillside, Io kneels to drink from a glassy stream, her dark hair falling over shoulders. Zeus stands on the ridge, watching, hands clasped, sunlight outlining his profile as he decides whether to move down into the field. Zeus steps through tall grass and touches Io's shoulder. She startles, eyes wide. He leans closer. Shadows fall when a sudden cloud passes, and Hera appears at the field's edge, face cold, raising both hands in a quick, rigid motion. Hera's hands move in a precise sweep, and bright air presses around Io. Her shoulders shorten and neck lengthens with a crack as fur blooms along her flanks. Io's eyes widen in human panic, now in a wide bovine face. Hera leads Io into a fenced pasture and nods to Argus, watchful shepherd with many eyes. He circles the cow slowly, head turning, eyes blinking in tempos. Zeus withdraws behind a distant hill, watching through a thin slit of sky. From his clouded balcony, Zeus watches a distant plain where soldiers form tight ranks, spears catching pale sun. He tilts his head at a messenger who rides panting, then taps a bronze tablet on a board that lists names and towns. Zeus lifts bronze scales from a side table, chain clinking, and sets a token for Achilles on one pan, one for Hector on the other. He watches the pans wobble, then presses a finger and tips the balance toward Hector.